This is all we knew growing up was Givens. This is where everybody met. This brought the blacks on the east side together.
All right, we're ready. Let's rock.
Dr. Givens is a great example of a strong black man who fought for his community.
From the top.
Hey, it starts tonight. Givens swim.
Welcome to We Are Here, Living the Legacy of Dr. Givens. Thank you for joining this virtual celebration and community conversation. I am Stephen Brown, the president of Givens Park Work Group. I'm a fourth generation Austinite, and Dr. Everett Givens, the namesake of this park, has long been a hero and a role model to many. As you will learn today, Dr. Givens was many things. He was a dentist and a lifelong advocate for African Americans here in Austin. I myself am a healthcare professional who have advocated for the economic and social liberation of African Americans here. Dr. Givens' story really resonates with me because as a healthcare professional and a person who has wanted to see this community thrive, I was able to take his past accomplishments and see where I wanted to go in my future. I think it's so important that we find those ancestors that have done great work here and we link up with them and find out how their past can direct us in the future. I want to thank Dr. Givens personally for allowing me to have the space that I'm currently in right now. Today, we're going to celebrate the legacy of Dr. Givens and the 1-year anniversary of Givens Swims, a performance produced by Forklift Danceworks that tells the story of the pool and the people in it. That dance was an amazing event that took place the same time here last year. And we want to celebrate that. We want to celebrate the community coming together, telling stories of our ancestors and how we can move forward in the future. So today, for the first hour of the show, we're going to focus on watching highlights from that dance and hearing from cast members and artists who were involved in that show. And we're going to learn a lot of important things about Dr. Givens and this park. For the second hour of the show, we're going to have a panel discussion hosted by none other than Austin's own Alberta Phillips. She's a journalist here, and she has so much knowledge and history of the things that have taken place in East Austin. Today's call to action is simple. And first, I want you to understand that Dr. Givens' legacy is a call to action. He called for oppressive systems to be removed and for people in this community to take advantage of certain opportunities when those doors are open. We're also asking at the end of the film, if any of this really resonates with you, that you join the Givens Park Facebook group. Make your voice heard. We're also asking that you consider donating to Rosalind's Novel, a nonprofit founded by me that helps marginalized citizens find pathways to prosperity through the medical community and through mentoring. Those funds will go directly to people that fellowship here in this park. We also want to bring awareness to the pandemic that we're currently facing right now. So many studies have said that social distancing and wearing face masks are positive tools to reducing the spread of COVID-19. We're asking you to join us in doing those things. We're also asking if you're feeling any symptoms to come down to Givens, where we have a testing site that you're able to get a free COVID-19 test. Take advantage of knowing your status. We're also asking you to stay home until you get the results of those tests. I also want to thank Austin PBS for co-hosting this event with us, and the people at Forklift Danceworks for helping to design and produce this event. We couldn't do it without our partners. And most of all, I want to thank the people of this community for the stories told and untold. So right now, I want to hand it over to the hostess with the mostest, our MC for the next hour, Kimberly Holiday. And a lot of you might even know her as Lady Joy. So, Right now, grab your favorite snack or even your favorite drink. And let's go with Kimberly as she takes us to the pool as we start this wonderful celebration. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Kimberly Holiday, also known as Lady Joy, and I am so glad to be here today for this virtual celebration and community conversation. Can you believe it was just 365 days ago that we were gathered here poolside at Givens Pool? Those of us who were in the pool were practicing our choreography, the perfect pivots and the perfect turns, and fine-tuning our costumes. The shows were sold out and the audiences were packed inside and outside of Givens Pool to witness what we had created. Today, we're gonna go back virtually to those healing waters. Every time I went to the pool last year for practice, it was healing for me. You see, I was in a lot of pain physically, but I knew if I could just get to the pool for practice, it was going to be healing for me. Being in community is also healing, and today we are going to return to that very community. Today is a reprieve, bringing our community together once again. And I know we could all use a healing right now. We're going to hear from cast members. I had the opportunity to meet so many amazing and extraordinary people while making last summer's performance. And many of them you are going to see in today's video clips and hear from them during our cast talkback sections. Today, you will also learn about history and revisit some of the art that was made last summer. Harrison Epwright, local historian and show cast member, will be joining us for 2 history lessons about Dr. Givens and Givens Park. Cindy Elizabeth, local artist who grew up right here in this very park, will also share about her installation work, Allegiance, which she premiered last summer as part of Givens Swims. So come with me and let's go to the pool. Settle in, get your favorite drinks, and let's get ready to go to the pool to celebrate the legacy of Dr. Givens. Let's start off this celebration with the opening clip of Givens Swims. Here now, the show's MC and featured artist Nook Turner taking the stage with his song The A, joined by Austin Smooth and Easy dancers and the full community cast. Enjoy.
I'm from that Austin checks, that's why I cash my checks. That 17 years where I'm at and what I'm representing. Best believe till I'm dead and gone. This gon' be my home, like Dale Earnhardt. I spent scans on the streets I'm gone. Home of the urban center, home of the Longhorns, home of that Navy blue, that tight white and that current boys. I get that Martin Luther, banging that Carl Suter. I'm in the Muta, find a tight broad so I can scoop her. We got the yellow bones, we got the sexy dreads. Lil' mama bow leg, look like she riding a moped. Ass like Lopez, can't forget about my dark and lovely females from the west side to the projects, and you know that. Boy, look, keep it playing, get my brand new Hollywood Kinnison throwback. Get it crunk if you in your lap, get it crunk if you on the bus, get it crunk if you in your truck or in the club, just throw it on. That's why I stay home with the Longhorns, is where I was born and raised. I'm from the A, that's why I stay flipping that MLK, sipping on Perry Bay. Throw your zip code, 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 throw it up, throw it up, throw it up. You can find me on Twitter, Chicago, like a Wrangler with 5 staggers in the Yukon. You can find me on the block when it's hot with a knot line. While dodging the feds like Vietnam. You can find me in a drop Riviera with a pop named Sierra, making it drop in the mirror. You can find me getting ready to roll, get thrown with a 3-piece in a 94 Chrome Town Caprice. I rep this song so you can feel it bang, while your rims keep chopping like a ceiling fan. It's for my city, man. My old 2 partners to the north side, still running the game. Look is the name that overcame every false lane. Regardless of cold, spin nothing but flames. Thought I was big range, cause I rep Rosewood. If it's going down, I might flip through your hood. That's why I stay home with the Longhorns, is where I was born and raised. I'm from the A, that's why I stay flipping that MLK, sipping on Perry Bay. Throw your zip code, throw your zip code, throw your I stay flipping that MLK, sipping on Perry Bay. You know that.
Hello, I am local historian Harrison David Eppright, and I manage visitor services, and I'm a tour ambassador at the Austin Visitor Center, which is a division of Visit Austin in downtown Austin, Texas. Today I want to talk to you about Dr. Everett H. Givens. Dr. Everett H. Givens was a dentist, a World War I veteran who attained the rank of lieutenant, and a beloved civic leader. He fought for the community of African Americans in East Austin for decades, and he successfully advocated for the provision of basic facilities and improvements, the streets, also for more parks and recreational facilities for African Americans. He worked to create the opportunity for blacks to be firefighters and police officers. As a result of his efforts, in that regard, Austin, in 1952, Austin became the first city in the South to hire black firefighters, hiring 3 black firefighters in the year of 1952. In 1946, he sued the state of Texas and won when he was denied the chance to take classes at UT to pursue his medical career. He went before the Texas Supreme Court to compel the University of Texas Board of Regents to establish a school for Negroes. And that became the basis for originally the Texas State University for Negroes, today better known as Texas Southern University. Let's watch this clip from Givens Swims featuring neighborhood cast members and the voices of LaVon Marshall and Brenda Adams Shepherd sharing their memories of Dr. Everett H. Givens.
I was a little girl, so to me, he was like a giant. He had a big voice. The room vibrated when he spoke.
He was a presence that filled the room.
He drove a big black Cadillac, and you saw that Cadillac, you knew it was coming. You knew something good was getting ready to happen. I remember in the 50s, I got a chance to go with my folks over to his residence, Dr. Givens' residence, and play around in his big swimming pool. He was a dentist.
He loved dentistry, but he enjoyed being a politician even more. He liked to be a kingmaker. He knew the right people to get some things done. You didn't argue with him, and he did not hesitate to throw his weight around. Austin has had a very dismal history in its race relations. There are still vestiges of that past.
Dr. Givens really wanted to make a difference. He wanted to make a difference, not for himself, but for East Austinites especially. He was concerned about making changes that were for the betterment of our people.
Welcome back. I am pleased to welcome our first group of cast members. I would like to introduce you to Arlene Youngblood.
Hello, everyone. I'm Arlene Youngblood. I'm a longtime East Austin resident and an advocate for East Austin pools.
Absolutely. And also joining us this evening, I would like to welcome Barbara Johnson Langston.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm so glad to be able to talk to you all in this brief time that we've been out. We've just been still exercising. I'm the owner of Smooth and Easy Dance of Texas. I also have a group that I do. I have Smooth and Easy, and I have BJDLAER that help all students and everybody. So don't give up. Just keep on working and looking out for everybody to come on back out, because this will not break us, because God is still ready for us to get back out there.
Absolutely. I am so excited to be here with both of you beautiful women this evening. It was just 365 days ago that we were gathered together at Givens Pool for an amazing celebration. Miss Arlene, I was so excited every evening to be able to get with you, to be able to celebrate and to practice our dance moves in the pool. You reminded me to put on my sunscreen and to make sure I took my shower before I got in the pool. And I want to let you know that I really appreciate that. And not only that, I showed up many times in pain, but I knew if I could just make my way to the healing waters, it would be okay. Now, what I know for sure about you is that you're an avid swimmer and that you love the water. Being that we cannot swim as much as we want to and the pools are closed, I want to know what you're doing right now to be able to take care of yourself since you cannot get in the waters.
One of the things that I have to do, and when you're a senior citizen, you have to do gentle stretching to maintain your mobility. We're all getting older, our joints are going to change. Everything that's going to show up from the old car accidents when you were younger, they're going to show up in your 60s and hurt. So I do miss the water. I was able to get 2 weeks of swimming in over at Rosewood to do my lap swimming. And then the decision was made to close the pools because of the COVID surge. But it's very important. Do your gentle stretching, every part of your body. If you're able to do walks, do your walks. If you're able to go and just sit down and relax and do some little bird watching and meditation, those things go a long, long way.
Absolutely. I also want to thank you for always being an advocate for our pools as well. Thank you so very much. And Miss Barbara, the energy that you all brought to the pool was so amazing. You absolutely eliminated every excuse that any of us had for not being able to move. When the music came on, y'all started moving, and it was amazing. So I want to thank you all, the Smooth and Easy Dance of Texas, for coming out and kicking off an amazing dance party for us. So can you tell me how it felt to be able to come out and start off the dance and see so many people of all different generations, colors, and nationalities sitting out in the stands at Givens Pool?
Oh, let me tell you, it's always amazing to see people, and always amazing to see people that want to get out and move around. Listen, it's not anything that you can't do. I take that out first. And just to come out and show people how to exercise. See, no matter what genre, when you said color, we don't, like I tell my children all the time, we don't see color. We just see whatever color you are, brown or beige, because we all bleed the same blood. But just to know that all those people came out there to show support for each other in East Austin. And Givens has been around so long, since I was a little girl. And we always want to go down to Givens and have a good time. So I tell people now, if you don't do anything else but pick up a can and do your exercise, just do it. Just sit in a chair and pick up your legs. But when we were down to Givens, I showed everybody, along with the people exercising with us, that it's nothing but to just move. And that's what we were there for, to show everybody just how to move. And the band was so awesome that it just brought the exhilaration out. And anytime you bring in band and music, oh, my group just automatically start turning and tossing. So everybody, we were dancing, but we really exercised. But I guess we'll still call ourselves a dance group. But oh, from the first day when Fabiola called me at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then I met Allison, oh, it was on. Anytime anybody asked us to come out, we're always there. And it was so amazing to see all the people come together. You're welcome.
Thank you so much for that. Both of you ladies actually both had the very same message, and that was to keep moving during this time, and that will actually save us. I have one more question, which was actually not on my notes, that I think is really important at this time. Miss Arlene, I would like to ask how you are staying connected to your friends and loved ones during this time of shelter in place when we really like to be together.
One of the things that we're blessed to have is technology. And sometimes we disregard the old telephone, but it helps immensely. As a person that is actively involved with Wesley United Methodist Church, my home church, my thing is to call and check on a loved one in your church. You know, at least try to call 2, maybe 3 people a day or whatever. Check on folks to see how they're doing. And then sending cards and letters. But, you know, we have a sick and shut-in list, a birthday card list that we run in our bulletin, which we can't do now. But we do send cards to let people know we're thinking about them. So it's important to check on folks. Yes, ma'am.
All right. I just want to take this opportunity once again to thank you both for being intentional to be here on this evening. It is time for me to move around the pool and meet some other people on this evening. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening, Miss Arlene Youngblood, and you keep moving, Miss Barbara Johnson Langston. Thank you so much.
All right.
Good evening.
Miss Joy. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Everything was happening at Givens Park. Man, this pool here, it was just jumping all the time. Pool sometimes would be so crowded that they have to wait to let so many people out before they let people come in. So I come up to this pool and I'm probably about 5, 6 years old. Coming as a kid, all of a sudden looking up to the other lifeguards, one day saying I want to sit on that stand.
Here at Givens Swims, it's just like a family reunion, and look who I found at the pool today. I found Carmen Kiera and I found Arturo Hernandez. Yes. I would like to give both of you an opportunity to introduce yourselves. We are going to give everyone an opportunity to go back to the pool today, and I am so excited to be with both of you today. First of all, I'm going to start with Arturo. If you will tell everyone who you are. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Arturo Hernandez. I was a youth leader and I helped choreograph, and that's who I am.
Oh, I am so happy to see you today. It was so exciting to raise hands with you in the grand finale at the Givens Swim celebration last year. And Carmen Kiera, I welcome you. It is good to see you today at the pool again. Will you share with us who you are?
Yes, my name is Clement Antonio Chiara the first. Hey, born and raised in East Austin. I'm a hood rat. I was a lifeguard at Givens, worked myself all the way through district supervisor. Some beautiful times at Givens. It's a pleasure to see you today as well, Kimberly.
Absolutely. So it is my understanding that you were a lifeguard for 27 years. That's a really long time. Tell me a little bit more about your experience.
Well, like I said, I was born and raised in East Austin, and coming from a family sort of poor. My mom eventually migrated to St. John. We lived with my grandparents, that extended family syndrome. And while I was there, they built a pool in St. John called St. John Pool. And that's when I first got involved with aquatics. I got involved in 1965 as a junior guard, worked myself up through the ranks, became a senior guard and water safety instructor, taught swimming lessons, worked at Rosewood, Gibbon, Keelan, St. John, you name it, I did it. But eventually, I ended up at Gibbons. And it was a joy for the experience. And I'm telling you, from the lifeguard perspective to the district manager perspective, it was great. It's nothing like being in the hood, Kimberly.
Serving your people. And so what was the experience like for you to see such an amazing celebration with people from all different walks of life, different generations, and all different, just people from all different nationalities celebrating in one place at Givens on last year? What was that like for you?
Young lady, let me tell you, it was beautiful. It was like a dream come true. It thought you would never ever see this day again. Once behind you, it's always behind. But hey, it was a pleasure. I mean, it brought back fond memories. It was great. And then of course, Allison added the touch to one of my favorite artists, James Brown. So they had Said Laugh Like My Prayer playing that night. So man, I was in that world. I was in that zone. It was beautiful. And to look around and see all those beautiful people, it was like a rainbow. All faces from all facets. It was beautiful, Kimberly. It was beautiful.
It was absolutely beautiful. And as we talk about it, at nighttime, to have the music, to have the water, and just all of that together was so. My cheeks are actually hurting as I talk about it. I can actually feel the water splashing. Even when Arturo just kept going like this with the water, I'm gonna take it to this over here. Yes, I am actually starting to feel that experience. So Arturo, you played a big role as a leader last summer. You supported all of us, but especially the young people in the show. And I just want to take this opportunity as a child and a child support advocate to thank you for that. I saw how hard you worked, and I just want to thank you for that. Can you tell me what it meant for you to be a part of such an amazing experience?
Of course. For me, I am a performer. I recently graduated this year over Zoom because of the pandemic. So I have a BFA degree in musical theater, and that's my passion. I love to perform. I love to sing. I love to dance, to act, all of it. And to come back home when this was supposed to be my summertime, I was like, all right, I get a break from theater. But then I fell upon this opportunity where this was way better than a break for me, because I was inspiring people in my neighborhood that I grew up with side by side and didn't even know this opportunity existed for any of us. I live right down the street from Givens, so I would come every day to these rehearsals and seeing all these kids and adults and how determined they were to put on the show. And it's the same fire that I have in my eyes as a performer myself. So to see that in the people and my neighbors and my brothers and sisters, all of it was such an amazing experience. I know how much passion I have for the arts. And I know growing up in the East Side, there wasn't many opportunities and outlets for us to have that performance or the voice of expression. So giving that expression and voice to the hood I grew up in was absolutely amazing.
Yes. Both of you are speaking about hope. You know what I mean? I came from the projects, and I'm not gonna, but you know what? There was always someone who believed in me. And, and you were that someone, Carmet, at the pool who gave someone hope. And that joy that you have, you shared that with someone at the pool. And Arturo, your summer break, you shared that joy with someone at the pool, and you're sharing that experience over the summer with an experience that someone will never forget. It may have seemed like a little something to you, but we all, the community, last year, just 365 days ago, had an experience that we will never ever forget. And I'm so excited that we get to come together today. And in my Facebook memories, all of these photos are popping up of how we went to practice. And so that's a memory for us to remember to celebrate the process as well. It wasn't just about the big grand performance. I actually enjoyed going to practice as well. Carmen, I want to ask you, now that we are in COVID, how are you taking care of yourself? How are you taking care of your body now that you actually can't get in the water? How's this working out for you?
Hey, fine for me. Matter of fact, great for me because after the COVID, I had just buried my sister. And I've been on for a couple of weeks, I teach school over in Elgin. And so we buried my sister on a Wednesday. That Friday, we're going to go on spring break. Well, I don't know if you know, but one of the secrets to no Corey McCary, I don't do computers. I got a condition, I don't deal with computers. So everything I do has to be by hard copy. I'm about the only teacher in the state of Texas still got a hard copy grade book, but I get the job done. So anyway, with that being said, it's been great. I mean, staying at home gave me opportunities to jog, to start lifting, and so everything was great. But I want to add to this, when Allison approached me about being part of this activity last year, I was sort of reluctant because they got an old school, I had swum in 50 years, and man, it's gonna be rough out there. But Allison made the transition so beautiful. Matter of fact, it was sort of hectic because I was in the midst of a track season. And we was getting ready to go to national. Matter of fact, I couldn't come to practice as much as I wanted to because I had to go to practice every day with my track team. Matter of fact, the day of my performance, which was that Saturday night, I did a performance that very next day at 6 that morning. The whole team would drive to California to the USA Championship National Meet. But with that being said, it was the most beautiful experience I experienced in many years, Kim. It was beautiful, Kim. And I know I sound like a broken record with Don, but the experience was beautiful, Kim. I mean, that camaraderie, that music, beautiful people like you, handsome guy like a third. I mean, it was the class act. To say the least, it was the class act. Hey, and
we all feel that way. And you know what? Even 365 days later, we are still feeling the joy of that. I would like to take this opportunity once again to thank both of you for taking the time with me. I'm so glad I ran into both of you at the pool. I've got to move on. I'm having a really great time celebrating. I'll see you all again. Stay safe. I'll see you again soon.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you later.
See you later.
Hello, this is Harrison Eppright again, and now I want to talk about Givens Park and Pool. The park opened about 1957 and the pool opened in 1958. This was the second pool built in the Black community for East Austin, and the park was renamed Givens Park in 1974 to honor Dr. Everett H. Givens. Givens Park became a central gathering place for the Black community with several musical events and other events that took place here in the East Austin community. Among the musicians who performed in the pavilion was Martin Banks, Austin-based musician who traveled worldwide with the Duke Ellington Orchestra. When the park opened, it was a segregated park. Austin's parks and pools were not desegregated until 1963. In 1960, some Austin teenagers from Austin High School and some other students took a bold step and they decided to desegregate Barton Springs Pool. There was the senior picnic that was given at the Barton Springs pool in 1960, and the black students were told that they were not allowed to swim in the pool or really attend the picnic. And so Joan Means and other concerned students and parents decided to conduct a swim-in. And this became the basis for swim-ins at other pools in the city. Finally, the pools were desegregated in 1963. Now, back in the 1960s, my family came here to Givens Pool and parked several times. And in the 1960s, I tried on 2 successive summers to learn to swim in Givens Pool, and I failed each time. Well, finally last year, I learned how to swim for the Givens Swims production. So, hey, slow and steady wins the race, folks. The Miss East Austin Beauty Pageant was created by leaders in the black community because women of color were not allowed to participate in citywide beauty pageants. For some time, portions of the competition took place at Givens Pool. Let's look at this clip from the dance that honors those pageants and celebrates black women and black beauty.
The Miss East Austin Beauty Pageant was the pageant for women of color. There were weeks of rehearsals, the stance, the pivoting, learning how to turn properly so they can see all of you. They're a little nervous, little butterflies. They would have the swimsuit showing here at Givens, stage being out in the water, and that was beautiful. Seeing the ladies walk across that stage, it was like a fairy tale. It was like they were walking on the water.
welcome back. We have our final cast pool talk. I am joined now by cast members Chaplain Creola Shaw Burns, former East Austin and former Black East Austin Mary Miller, fashionista Azure Brown, and Dr. Pearl Dilworth Cox. Good afternoon, each of you. It has been,
Hello.
yes, it has been only 365 days since we've been together at the pool celebrating Givens Swims. I am
Wow.
excited. Yes, I am excited to be here with each of you. Givens Swims represents Black joy, Black fun, Black community, a place where all of us can come together. And I am excited today to have a conversation about what beauty means to the Black woman. And I believe that we have a powerhouse together today to have this conversation. So I'm just going to open up the floor and we're going to have an authentic conversation about what that means. But before we begin, Azure, I want to start out with you about what it meant for you to be at Givens Swims to celebrate with people from all different walks of life, all different generations, just having a celebration in the pool, celebrating with music and water.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be here tonight and a privilege to be able to speak about what I feel like is a significant moment in history in East Austin. You know, I had heard stories about Miss East Austin and a beauty pageant, but I had never seen pictures, just stories. And so when Allison first asked me to assist with the project, one of the places I went I'm a certified records manager in another life. And so I said, there has to be evidence or proof of this somewhere. So I went to the History Center and that's when I found pictures. And so I was wondering how in the world are they going to make a catwalk over the pool? And I was like, that must not be true. But when I saw the pictures, I said, wow, they actually had a catwalk. So it was just amazing to see it recreated. And the first night that it actually, for the first show, it just was amazing. I felt like we got a snapshot of that point in time. And I was just kind of in awe, just watching the women. And in my mind, I was picturing how it went down and how it had to happen. And just I say that there's beauty in community. And so seeing all of these different people that some of them are no longer in East Austin, but for them to all come together and to, after work, tired, hot, ready to go home, hungry, and just coming together and saying, how is this going to work? But Allison has a great, she has the vision, of how she wants things to come. And sometimes it's like, this is not going to work out. This is going to be crazy, or we are going to look crazy. But it was just beautiful. I thought it was great. And I knew I was a part of history, but it was like being a part of history twice. So it's like going back in time, but then we know that this moment is going to like go down in the history books, and all of the new acquaintances and the friendships, that were created as a result of it. It just feels like family now. And so I just thought that was great. I just thought it was awesome. I'm so happy that I was able to be a part of it.
It does actually feel like a family reunion. Miss Mary Miller, you are the former Miss East Austin and also former Miss Black Austin. How did it feel for you to actually be in Givens Swims in the pageant on last year?
Oh gosh, it brought back so many memories, and it was like a reunion. I hadn't seen Pearl and Creola in ages, and it just brought us back together. And it just reminded me of years ago. And we just laughed and reminisced and everything. It was beautiful.
So it sounds like you got to spend some time with your friends. How beautiful is that? Miss Creola and Miss Pearl, I want to bring you into this conversation. And to both of you, I want to let you know that I feel like both of you became mothers to me. Each of you simply loved on me when I was out there at the pool. And I looked forward to seeing you every night at rehearsal. And I said to myself, if these ladies can show up out here in their like Surely I can too. And so that speaks volumes to what beauty really means. And so if either of you would like to jump in and really speak to, what does beauty really mean to the Black woman right now?
I'm gonna let our beauty queen Pearl answer that question because she
You were
works with
frozen.
women every day, making them the beautiful people that they are. Pearl?
Yes. Okay. You kind of froze on me for a second. I apologize. But something about beauty. It is uplifting. It is encouraging. It is a lot of things. Let me put it that way. But what I enjoy mostly about it is that Even Swim just kind of pulled all of that together. When I looked out into the audience, seeing all the smiling faces of anticipation and seeing that even us as beauty queens, we were working on our stance and our turns and just making sure that we were as one. And we just had a great time. So yes, beauty goes into a whole lot of different areas, and spreading it and being it and wanting it is all part of the community. We all want it,
And I can add, Kim, that beauty never stops. From a little child, I remember going to the Miss East Austin pageant and wanting to be that beauty queen and having the opportunity to participate in Miss East Austin and then as a volunteer afterwards and seeing beauty still being a confidence builder, one that helped to it helps a woman evolve. And I'm 61 years old now, yes, and beauty is still very, very important. So
yes, it is.
I just think so many times that we were in East Austin and East Austin was home and Givens Park was home. So Givens Swim gave me that opportunity to go back home.
Oh, yeah.
Reminded me of the 70s when I was in high school and driving my GTO or my brother's El Torino through Givens Park on Sundays, cruising over and over again, listening to Roy Ayers and the Earth, Wind and Fire. Just really, really, so being there in that pool again, it was, and to think about where we are now, wow. What a reflection, and what a situation we're in now. So to be able to reflect back on 365 days where we were and where we are now, it's really thought-provoking.
Wow. Miss Creola, you actually, I don't know if the world probably saw our reactions in real time. You just walked us through a beautiful memory lane where we were smiling, feeling good. I think we felt the water, we heard the music, and then you brought us back to reality. Yeah. And so I just want to take us back to the celebration and remind us how beautiful it was, where everyone was there. We were celebrating. We were having a good time in the water. The music was beautiful. We were all together as friends. We got to meet new friends. You ladies will be friends to me for a lifetime. And we got to see how the community could all come together for one purpose. And I am so grateful to Forklift for bringing the community together. I have a question before we get out of here, and each of you could jump in on this. If there was something you could say to the young ladies today about beauty and what that really means, because many of them are seeking for someone from the outside to tell them what this means, what would you say to them today about what beauty really means or about their Black joy?
I always tell them to, first of all, reach deep inside them and pull out all the beauty that they have inside them. And that would totally enhance their outer beauty. And then they're unstoppable.
That is beautiful. Thank you, Miss Mary Miller. Because a lot of people are looking for this thing on the outside, but the truth is it comes from the inside. I want to take this opportunity to thank each of you and let you know how beautiful you looked walking across the catwalk. And I kept wondering to myself, are they going to do this thing in high heel shoes? What?
We should
I
try.
wanted to.
You wanted to do it in heels?
Yes, I
Yeah.
did try.
I knew better.
Anyway,
Yes,
I
you did.
thank each of you for being here. We're going to get through this thing together. And for what it's worth, I want to let each of you know that your beauty actually radiates from the inside beyond what I see in this box that I see on the screen. And I cannot wait until we are together again in the pool and I can hug you. And I thank each of you for loving on me and for being true to who you are. It has been a pleasure to be with you. I am getting ready to move around this pool and go meet with some more cast members. Thank you all for being here. Keep shining, keep being beautiful, and stay safe until we
Thank
meet.
you, Kim.
Thank you, Miss Kim.
My name is Cindy Elizabeth. I am a photographer and visual artist, born and raised here in Austin, Texas. I was raised on the east side of Austin, Texas. And last summer I had the opportunity to create some public artwork in conjunction with Forklift Danceworks' Givens Swims production. So my project Allegiance that I did in conjunction with Givens Swims, the idea came from just wanting to really interrogate the idea of what it means to claim space. And I thought it was particularly important during this current climate that we're in of gentrification and of displacement of the Black community here in East Austin. And you know, it's kind of a time, this interesting place where folks, all of these outside entities come in, whether it's outside community members or outside interest, land interest, building interest. They all come in and they have an idea of what they want something to be for them without any consideration of what it already is for the people who are here. And so I just wanted to interrogate that through the use of flags, because flags are used as symbols of freedom, as liberation, but also as symbols of claiming territory. And so that's where the idea for Allegiance came from, was how do we as a community claim our own narrative, and how do we place meaning on our things and share that with the rest of the world or the rest of the community. So the people who are featured on the flags in the Allegiance series are all folks who have been part of my life at different points. I wanted to be sure that I included folks from various generations to be representative of the Givens community. And I chose some folks who I grew up here at the park with, some friends that I met here at Givens Park as a child, so I decided to bring them back. I chose some younger folks who currently come to the park, as well as some older folks who helped really to shape and mold the culture here, who had experience coming here to the park before the recreation center was even built. And so the experience of shooting people, I wanted to make sure that I brought everybody back to the park, because not everyone still lives in the area. Not everyone is still able to afford it. The majority of the people who participated are folks who have been pushed out of the area. And so I thought it was really important to bring them back to the park. And when we did the photo shoots, for a lot of them, it was their first time being back here in years, and it brought back so many memories and just so much love and so much like desire to be in this space again, to be in community in this space again. And some of the participants said that they had, even before that point, before I brought them back, had felt uncomfortable coming here, like it wasn't theirs anymore. And so it was really powerful to see how much it really brought back to people just by bringing them back to the park for a photo shoot. And it brought so much back to me as well, because I was also someone who hadn't been here in a while, because there's so many politics around the park, and it just everything feels really daunting. And so it was really empowering to be back in the space and to be with community and to reclaim that narrative together. I hope that my work will support the protection and respect for the community here, because like I said, a lot of times the community that is already here is oftentimes overlooked when decisions are being made about how spaces should be used, how spaces should be changed, what needs they should meet. And I just want the historical community here to have a presence and to have a say. And I want people who are new to the community to be reminded of their presence.
All right, we have reached the finale of the show, and just like we started the show, we are closing out with Nook Turner and the Smooth and Easy Dancers of Texas.
We say Givens Park all the time. Where you going? We're going to Givens. We use that name all the time. Dr. Givens is a great example of a strong black man who fought for his community. This place represents love. It represents unity. It represents that refreshing situation where you can reset, see people you love, hang out, enjoy yourself, and then get ready to take on the world again. That's what Givens means. Givens is that legacy that was passed down. You know, the activities, the communion. It represents black fun, black love, and it represents culture and tradition that we hold on to and cherish. It represents our ancestors and it represents the future.
I'm a grown man still on the top of the list of the fans and your bitch and I still let the kids. I'm a legend. Keep a bag, I still got bread. Legend. Me and my new stay fed. Legend. O2 Drake in the red. Legend. Still here so real ain't dead. Legend. Keep a bag, I still got bread. Legend. Me and my new stay fed. Legend. O2 Drake in the red. Legend. Still here so real ain't dead. Legend. Hands up high in the sky. For the ones that sleeping low, man, still in the mix, still get mixed. Names still chirping like I got an old people on me. Who been rocking harder? Who been in these streets? Trying to never rest over nobody. Nah, I'm still standing on my feet, I'm a legend. Legendary. This walk is legendary. Eastside is legendary. This food is legendary. Eastside is legendary. This walk is legendary. Eastside is legendary. This food is legendary. We rockin' like the Super Bowl. We rockin' like the. We rockin' like the. We rockin' like the. I'm a legend. Everything I touch turn to gold. I touch my city, now we rockin' like the Super Bowl. Win it. Who done did what I did? Held the city down since Turner was a kid. I'm a grown man still on the top of the list of the fans and your bitch and I still let the kids. I'm a legend. Keep a bag, I still got bread. Legend. Me and my people stay fed. Legend. O2 Drake in the red. Legend. Still here so real ain't dead. Legend. Keep a bag, I still got bread. Legend. Me and my people stay fed. Legend. O2 Drake in the red. Legend. Still here so real ain't dead. Legend. Let me hear you say it. 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 Legend. Let me hear you screaming. 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 Legend. I'm a legend. 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 Nook Turner. Legend. Everything I touch turn to gold. I touch my city, now we rockin' like the Super Bowl. Who done did what I did? Held the city down since Turner was now a grown man still on the top of the list of the fans and you're missing. I still love the kids. I'm a legend. Austin, Texas, make some noise! Come on, y'all, give it up, show some love!
What a time we have had. We have reached the end of our first hour. Let's continue to celebrate this park that honors Dr. Givens. The park has been a central place for healing and self-care in Austin. This is a place of connection and community. This park celebrates Black joy and Black beauty. When you are here, you are home. Let's continue to celebrate and carry on the legacy of Dr. Givens and all the people that have gathered right here. This is a call to action. Next, our panel will continue this conversation to share some of the recent good work that's been done in this park and carry us into action for the future of Givens Park and beyond.
Hello, and I really hope you enjoyed that celebration of Givens Swim. It's so beautiful to see everyone again. That performance was such a wonderful experience for me. It really is a good example of what community activities can do to bring healing and oneness to a community. And so I want to thank everyone for joining this panel discussion. I am Stephen Brown. I'm the leader of the Givens Park Work Group, and I am so excited and happy to be here with a few of my fellow Austin leaders, and I'm also proud to say friends. And we are going to be discussing living the legacy of Dr. Givens and what that looks like in the future. So before I begin, I want to remind everyone to please consider donating at Rosalind's Novel. It's a fun it's fundraising for helping to find pathways to prosperity for marginalized citizens. It is a wonderful opportunity so that young people can go and witness surgeries, but we also offer mentoring for anyone who want to connect with people to find what the best pathway is for them. First, I want to introduce our panelists, Miriam Connor. She is so talented. I'm very happy that she is joining this conversation. She is a curator, a community organizer, an event planner. She also worked with South by Southwest, Art Outside, Forklift Dance, and just a plethora of organizations. She brings a wealth of knowledge to this discussion, and I'm really happy that she is here. Next, I would like to introduce Roderick Davis. And man, I'm just really happy to see Roderick here. I mean, God, he's at Givens. I mean, if you're ever down at Givens and you see this really nice car, you best believe that it's Roderick. So just really happy to see him. Next, I would also like to introduce Kenneth Thompson Sr. And man, if y'all don't know who Kenneth Thompson Sr. is, and you've been under a rock here in Austin, I mean, just done so much. Very happy to see him here. Lifelong Austin advocate, and just brings a wealth of knowledge to this conversation. So thank you, Kenneth, for being here. And now I want to introduce our panel moderator. There's not enough words to describe what I feel about Alberta Phillips. She has just done so much for the African Americans here in Austin. She's a freelance journalist for the Austin American Statesman, and just a truth seeker and teller. And we are just so happy to have Alberta here to moderate this panel. So I'd like to turn it over to Alberta Phillips. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. And it is my pleasure to be here this evening for this very important anniversary marking the life and history of Dr. Givens and the park and the pool named in his honor. This discussion is very timely, coming as Austin is awakening to its racial past and a future that celebrates the diversity and accomplishments of all its people. With that, let's begin. And Stephen, I want to ask you about the title, We Are Here. Why was that title chosen?
Well, thank you, Alberta. For me, I just feel like the title is so fitting in this current climate. Being a fourth generation Austinite, seeing the way Austin has changed since I was a little boy to a young adult, I just never would have imagined the way Austin looks now. That just wasn't what I imagined it being. And I wanted to let people know that we are here, and we are here with a purpose. African Americans in Austin were segregated. We thriving communities. Austin had 15 freedom communities around Austin, not just east of I-35 or East Avenue, but just spread out. And the 1928 master plan segregated African Americans east, and we built East Austin up with just pure community, love, determination, and we want our new incoming residents to understand the history and the culture of what it took to build in East Austin. And we want them to appreciate that and know that we are here and we should be heard, and we want our history respected.
And Stephen, you make a really good point about we're here and we have a history here, because not a lot of people really know about the 1928 plan that segregated Black people east of I-35. Then it was East Avenue. There was no I-35, but it forced Black people to move into the so-called Negro district. So with the changes that we've seen, as you just said, Stephen, it's important that the newcomers understand the history of where they are and how important that community is and the park's relationship to the community. And Miriam, Stephen told us why the title was chosen. Can you tell us what it means to you?
Yes, so it reminds me of Cindy Elizabeth's flags, reclaiming space, reclaiming our legacy and our narrative. We're not gone, we're still here. Black people are still in Austin. We are only about 8% of the population, and that's being a little bit generous, but that's 77,140 people. And in these times, we have Black businesses that need support, Black families that need support, and Black people still working, bus driving, nurses, teachers, and artists. A little fact is that nationwide, Black people are dying 2.5 times higher than white people right now in these COVID times. Texas is only reporting 7% of the race and ethnicity of the COVID cases, and only 22% of the race and ethnicity of COVID deaths, which is completely skewed. That means all of our numbers are off and means we're not being counted. It's systemic racism that we're not being counted. It is systemic racism in the thought that we're even gone. We're here and we're not going anywhere.
Thank you, Miriam. And I think it's very relevant that you bring up the COVID statistics and how systemic racism is affecting the collection of data that should just be collected just for health reasons and for treatment reasons and because people need to know reasons. So thank you for bringing that up. That's a wonderful segue to something we're going to discuss on this panel tonight. Kenneth, please tell us what the title "We Are Here" means to you, a longtime resident and user of Givens Park.
You know, for me, Alberta, we are here. It's generational. When I think about Roderick and I think about Stephen, I think about Miriam, right? They are part of We Are Here. It's generational. It's generational. And I think sometimes what tends to happen in our society, we start to go to those things that are what we think are the hot moments of the time, right? We try to go to those things that we feel that are in the news, the headlines of the news. But I submit that how you get to the news or how do you get to where you are is based on your generational conversations that we have had. So when I think about We Are Here, for me, it's about generation. It's about the generational, and then it's also about that we have a voice. We have a voice, and our voice should be heard, particularly when you start thinking about things that impact us and our families and our community.
All right, Kenneth. I mean, that's what we're talking about tonight, raising our voices to the top of our lungs so that all of Austin will hear the story of Dr. Givens and Givens Park. And Roderick, we have determined that you are the youngest member of the panel, so we would certainly love to hear what the title, "We Are Here," means to you.
Well, what the title means to me, "We Are Here," it means like, to me, it means we are still here. You know, like that's what the title should be, "We Are Still Here." But we are here and we're not going anywhere. You know, we've been in East Austin. We might not have all what we have now, but now that we got it, and we want that level out playing field like everyone else has. You know, y'all had it before us. You know, give us our chance that we here now. So you know, so we give us a chance that we here now, and we can go along. You know, we want the same level playing field. You know, we want it just like everybody else has it, and we're here to stay, and we're not going anywhere. You know.
And Roderick, I think that what you have said really could have come right out of Dr. Givens' mouth, because he was all about knocking down the doors of opportunity and saying, "We are here, give us our opportunity." So I love that has something that still resonates with you. And really, I think that everybody has done a really good job of talking about what "we are here" means to each and every one of you and to Givens Park. I want to go back to Stephen because Miriam raised the COVID issue. And I wanted to ask you, Stephen, about testing in the park, COVID testing in the park. Give us a sense of how you managed to get testing in the park.
Wow, man. Well, let me first start by saying it was a team effort. This effort and initiative started in April. You know, we saw early on the studies and the facts that COVID was disproportionately affecting the African American community. And there were so many other underlining issues and core morbidity issues in the African American population that it was just well-known knowledge that in order to really protect this community, you really needed to get out in front of it. And you needed testing early, and you needed to really get people to understand what their status was. And so, you know, I started really pushing and advocating for the city to have testing down at Givens Park. It's a flagship park. On any given Sunday, I mean, there's 300 to 500 people out there fellowshipping. And I just thought that it would just be a great place to have a hub so people would know their status. And it took a lot of work. We went through a lot of bureaucracy. And one of the things I really want to let the leaders know, if there's any watching this panel discussion, that, you know, I appreciate checks and balances, but when it comes to life-saving policies, sometimes, you know, we got to cut straight to it, because 3 months of, you know, negotiating and getting testing down there, you know, really means life or death for this community. And without advocating and other community members and just a real big community effort to get people to wear their mask and to social distance and washing their hands and just the community pulling together, just like the spirit of old East Austin, I think that the outcomes in East Austin would have been a lot worse. But I'm happy to say that testing at Givens is thriving. Today, I just got the numbers that 285 people now know their status down at Givens, and they can make decisions about whether they're going to go home and spend time with their loved ones or their parents or elders. They know whether or not they're going to affect their loved ones or other community members. And that is the kind of advocacy Dr. Givens showed and displayed. And that is the spirit that's still alive and well at the park.
And Stephen, I really appreciate all the work that you and your team did to bring testing, COVID testing to Givens. But I also know from talking to you what a struggle and uphill battle it was. And Kenneth, I just want to go to you because you are the political on the panel. You know, Givens is a no-brainer, right? It's a no-brainer. That's where testing ought to be, with the number of people, the various kinds of people. What in the world was going on with this thing politically that, you know, it took so much effort to get testing at Givens Park?
Albert, I would say this. I would say it's really a reflection of Austin's history to some degree, how they have responded to issues in our community. Now, we hear every day that who's being impacted by COVID each and every day. And then we hear about our city being progressive and being liberal. And at the same time, it takes 3 months to get testing for a community that you're telling that they've been beat up more behind. And so sometimes it's like this. I think they have sometimes, I don't think they have the courage at times to do what's right for our community. I just think, and I think sometimes I don't think they have the political will. They have the political will to talk about it, you know. But I think in terms of the courage to actually make things happen, to cut through the red tape, they don't sometimes have the courage. And I think that's our political downfall.
Thank you, Kenneth. I thank you for your candidacy in this and for being so candid and not pulling punches about, you know, what's happening here. And I want to ask you, Miriam, because, you know, you are very informed about the stats and you know Givens Park really well. You've operated there and been a part of the park culture for a very long time. What difference does this make?
Well, so it all comes down to systems change. We need systems to be changed right now. The white-led patriarchal systems won't and should not lead anymore. It needs to be community-led. So the park, for example, is an example of changing a system. Dr. Givens fought for us to have like a place for us to have fun, the park, fought for playground equipment. He fought for better streets, bus services, parks, 12th and Chacon and 12th and Airport. Those streetlights are because of Dr. Givens. Those are also system changes, because if he wouldn't have gone to council to fight for those things, we wouldn't have had them. And it makes us more, it levels the playing field, like Roderick was saying. I think that every time that we elect a Black or brown person into an office, it's also a system change. And so we need more Black and brown people to become and give them the tools so that way they can become elected to office. So that way we can raise their voices. And so we can actually have a ball on the field. Yeah.
Thanks, Miriam.
Mm-hmm.
So Roderick, I know that you have a special connection to the park with your organization or your club that you started. Can you tell us about that and why you were influenced to do that at Givens Park?
Just because I moved here back in '95, so you know I was a young buck then. But when I got old enough, I've been in the automobile since I was younger. So when I got old enough, you know, we ended up, when I got an automobile, I knew I had to find the hot spots, you know, to where the vehicles was at, you know, because I knew what I had and what I wanted to do. So I wanted to be around, you know, that type of stuff. So I started hanging around Givens, you know, I started, as soon as I could get there, I got there, you know, hanging around Givens. And then I ended up meeting people, you know, I congregate and, you know, talking to people, rubbing elbows. And I ran into somebody who was interested in automobiles like I was. Kind of had the same automobile I had. So, you know, we was like, all right, well, we could start something. So we started right there by the restrooms that's getting painted right now for everyone. That's what, you know, like the 2 front parking spots. That's where we had the discussion and that's where we started at. So basically from there, you know, we kicked off like every Sundays, you know, we'll be there at Givens. We started having different events at Givens. You know, the club started growing, and a lot of the people I was with then, you know, they had moved on now, but I kept the club still going, you know, within Givens Park. We do Easter egg hunts there at Givens. We do that try to do that every year. This year, because of COVID, we couldn't do it. But we like to do the Easter egg hunts for the kids, do barbecues, hot dogs for them, give it out to them. Just make them feel like it's something there for them to do instead of, you know, just chilling around their moms and dads and stuff like that. Like, you got something to do. Also, we did the Givens Park cleanup. That all came when we partnered with APD. You know, we was there at the park, and APD ended up showing up, and it's kind of a little situation to where they wanted, we felt like they wanted us to leave. You know, a lot of people did end up leaving, but a member from our club, he ended up talking with APD, and from there, you know, we kind of, that APD officer wanted to do something to kind of bring us together and make them not think like it ain't all like, we're not all here to make y'all feel scared in situations. So we kind of came up with this Givens Park cleanup where we partnered with different people out of Austin, city leaders, the Austin Police Department, the Austin Chief was there. And that was there at Givens Park, and that was a big thing. We got to do a parade to pull in. The police escorted us in, and we did a park cleanup. News was there, car clubs, and we just went around and just tried to do change, you know. Whenever this COVID over, you know, there's more stuff we've been working on that we want to get into. So it's just, Givens is our spot where we started, and we don't want to lose it, and we're going to be there to, you know, claim our stake, you know. But it's just important to us. Like I said, that's where we started, and we still be there all the time. So.
And that's a wonderful story. And I do want to just mention the name of your club, which is Hands Full of Cash. Car Club. Right.
Yes.
A Handful of Cash Car Club.
Yes, that's it.
Started right there at Givens Park. And so that's something wonderful, because it has a past, and it has a present, and it will have a future. At this point, I do want to remind people that to donate to Rosalind's Novel, a nonprofit organization founded by Stephen Brown to support people connected to Givens Park and the East Austin community to find pathways to prosperity. And Stephen, I just want to say that I want to donate tonight. I want to donate $100 to this fund, because I know just how wonderful this fund will work for people in places that they need to be reached. And you were reached. You were reached by Dr. Givens' example. And please talk to us about how Dr. Givens influenced you and brought you where you were today.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, Alberta, for that donation. Those funds will go directly to people that fellowship in that park. And, you know, Dr. Givens, like I said in the beginning, through his past accomplishments, gave me an opportunity that literally see my future. When Rosalind is my mother's name and Novel is my great-grandmother's name, my mom's been a long-time member of the health community here in Austin, and my grandmother has, you know, been just a matriarch for our family. But when she started in the healthcare field, she was a receptionist, and she just worked her way up to being a nurse now. And when I entered into the healthcare field, I was mopping floors, and I looked at her as an example of what the long game would look like. You know, going through, getting my education. And being in that environment also gave me access to mentors. And but before I got really on my path towards my medical career, I wanted to be a firefighter. And in doing so, going through the process, I realized that the Austin Fire Department had systems of adverse impact and discrimination against African Americans. And so I filed a lawsuit to help change the hiring practices of the Austin Fire Department. And in doing so, I found out about Dr. Givens. And I found out that he was, he's a healthcare professional, a dentist, but he was also a very well-respected advocate and politician. And I was amazed to see an example of someone going or has gone where I wanted to go. I knew, helping people, being in healthcare or the fire department was my passion, and I wanted that as my occupation. But I also had a spark of community activism and fixing, like Miriam said, these systems that oppress and tend to hold us back. And when I really started digging down into Dr. Givens' story, I just said, this guy is me. This is what I want to be. And to see a Black man be a healthcare professional and also find success advocating for Black people, I knew that no matter how tough my journey was going to get, that I was going to find success. And in doing so, I found success. I want people to know that Dr. Givens' story is my story, and it's their story, just like Rosalind's novel is my story, and it could be their story. It's a story of people finding their destiny, and just no matter what stands in their way, moving towards them, and other people being there to support them along the way. And so that is what Dr. Givens' story just did for me. It was an example of an ancestor who had success that I can now use their template.
Thank you for that. We really appreciate that. And it's so inspirational to hear you talk about Dr. Givens and how that influenced you and your success today. And Kenneth, growing up in East Austin and being a regular at Givens Park, tell us how that improved and made a difference in your life.
A second ago I mentioned generations, and that's how I met Stephen. You think about these generations, but the park was, as a matter of fact, you heard me, I went old school, because we call it the park. Let's go to the park, and so it was a gathering place. It was a gathering place for positive energy. It was a gathering place for developing relationships. And also it was a training ground. It was a training ground for us to get better at living. And it was something that we could call our own. And when we got there, we had Black men that was role modeling for us what it was like to be a healthy individual. So for me, when I think about Givens Park, I think about the relationship. I think about the foundation that Givens gave so many of us, about the value of who you were as a person, as a Black person, as a Black kid, because you could go almost anywhere in Austin at those times, and you could have someone trying to take that value away from you. And so these guys made sure that we understood that, and they tried to make sure that when we got into these other communities, that we didn't respond to these other guys and let them take our lives away from us. And so there was a lot of lessons built there about relationships and the power of love. And if we don't talk about them, but it's got to be nice. It's wonderful to have so many folks who love you enough to take care of you, to impart on you things that's going to make your life make your life and give you a better opportunity to be successful.
Thank you, Kenneth. Miriam, all of our panelists tonight talked about the value of the park in their lives. And I'm going to borrow Kenneth's word and say the park. And I'd like to know, as a Black female, the value of Givens Park in your life.
In my life, let me go backwards a little bit. So I grew up in East Austin. My family had a restaurant in East Austin called Gene's New Orleans Style Po' Boys and Deli, and we would serve food and give away food during the MLK March. I remember one year after and I don't think I've said this before yet, but one year after the MLK March, I remember Gene and myself going down to Givens Park and giving away more food. Doing that, because food is something that nourishes us, right? It gives us health. It's communal. Giving food away at a young age at Givens has changed the way that I operate, I guess. I'm thinking about it now, and to how we give back to our communities. Whether it's food, whether it's saying hi to your neighbor, it's all related to health and healing. Because when we connect, and when Black people connect, it's a good time. But when we connect, it helps heal ourselves, and it helps heal our community and the greater ether. So that's how Givens, being able to reconnect people with Forklift, people that I didn't even know knew each other, like Miss Pearl, one of the East Austin Queens. She used to do my hair when I was a child. Kenneth, I don't think I've told you this either, but I used to listen to your voice on KAZI every single day driving to the restaurant. Like, bringing y'all together, it made me feel a greater sense of home, a greater sense of we are here. And yeah, it was powerful. So thank you.
Well, that was very well said. And I just want to point out that everyone just has spoken from the bottom of their hearts about this park, whether it was growing up and the sense of community and value and the foundation that it laid there, or whether it is with Roderick's club, his car club, and how that operates now. And even within the car club, there's an unselfishness, Roderick, because you guys are doing things for the kids. And what Miriam talked about, giving away food, and Stephen putting the COVID testing there, and Kenneth continuing to be present and being mentor for so many young men. It's a beautiful thing, because it does resonate in the words, we are here. But I want to talk about something that may be not so nice right now that Kenneth brought up, about how the history at Givens Park. First of all, when I talked to the Forklift people, I said, I tried to Google a history on Givens Park, and because it has such a rich history. We saw in the first part of the video how rich that history truly is. And so I tried to Google it, and I could come up with so little other than the fact that it was named after Dr. Givens. And, 1957, when the land was acquired. But other than that, nothing. And what really is kind of just sad, Kenneth, is what you told us. And I'm going to let you tell that story about what you recently found out and uncovered about some of the history at Givens.
Oh yeah, it's about the history being removed. And I think for many years, there used to be plaques out in that building that really identified some of the original individuals who, that made it happen. Those who provided, they worked there, but they provided a safe place. And then for that history to be removed, for it to be removed. And so, can you imagine? And in fact, some of those people whose name was on those things are still alive today. But if they wanted to take their grandkids down there, their great-grandkids down there, and say, hey, let me talk to you about history. Let me tell you about my role in it. They won't be able to see that. And I just think that's absolutely horrible. But again, these things keep coming from this progressive community. And what sometimes I ask the progressive community is stop being so progressive. Hey, look, if this is the result of being progressive, then stop it. Then absolutely stop it, because it's hurtful, and it's a pain that's created, but that pain is not created by us, right? We are not the ones who destroyed our history. And so that's the thing. And then I think there's pictures. And again, if you just think about what Dr. Givens stood for and the goodness that the seeds that he planted, and for though that history to be destroyed again in this city that says, hey man, we are the right kind of folks that y'all need advocating for you. And I would just say again to my progressive brothers and sisters, stop being so progressive.
So Dr. Givens truly was a visionary, and what Kenneth has said is truly sad. And so I've heard so far tonight 3 calls to action. 1, let's find out what happened to those plaques, and if they are still in the city's hands, let's get those plaques and put them back up at Givens Park. 2, we need to really get a written history of Givens, Dr. Givens and Givens Park, and that needs to be part of the story that's told, not just in the park, but when people go on the website and Google Givens Park, that history is clearly displayed there, because you made the point so eloquently, Kenneth, that our history is disappearing, and it's really important that we hold on to that and that people understand what that is. And the 3rd call to action was donating to Rosalind's novel. It's important that we donate to Rosalind's novel because it's going to go mostly and directly to people there at the park who need that step up, who need that helping hand, who might need that little bit of a push, who might need that little bit more education, who might need to have a little bit more food or another kind of medical treatment. That is what that fund will do. And so we really need to do that. And I want to say that a link to make a tax deductible donation is in the chat. So I do want to emphasize to donate to that fund. We have the 3 calls of action so far, but I really would like to talk with Roderick about, some of the things you've heard tonight. How do you put those into perspective, and what's your message to a lot of the young people coming to Givens, or even young people just in general?
With me, like listening to everyone, the history, like I learned a lot even last year, with working with Forklift. But I keep learning every time, especially when I'm with Kenneth and Miriam, and especially Stephen. I listened to the video and you taught me about TSU, Texas Southern, about the name, all this, I'm taking it all in and learning. And, I give that to the young people too, don't just stay in our world, when you're around an older person, listen, just listen to what they got to say, because they're going to talk anyway. So just take that, take that and run with it. I love listening to people, sitting around and just hearing what they got to say. You learn a lot that way as well. You don't know everything, so, you open the ear, get a listen. So that's my thing to the young people, you can't, we feel like we can do it all by ourselves, but you can't, man. You can't do it by yourself. It took somebody before you to get to where you're going.
And that's a heck of a message for the young people, and thank you for that. Stephen, you talked about when we were kind of putting our heads together for this evening, you talked about touching on some of the coping strategies and tools that you're going to need going forward and people will need going forward. Give us a sense of what that looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. And, even with speaking with Kenneth, and like you said, those plaques, those monuments, those are all just templates and examples of what, where you can see your future going. And so, like I will say, another thing we got to stop doing too is we can't rely fully on the city to educate us about our people. And, that was one of the main, the core reason why, Malik, the artist, and I took the initiative to get Dr. Givens painted on the mural at the park. And it has a list of certain accomplishments he made. And we have, we're in talks with the city of Austin, Kimberly McNeely, to discuss the interpretive signage. And on the flip side, at Barton Springs, they have the statue of the 3 wise men but we don't talk much about the 3 Black women and more who did swim-ins to desegregate Barton Springs. And so there should be a statue there, speaking of the 3 wise women plus, who did those types of things to make sure that we have a pathway to prosperity. So some of the coping strategies, one is, find an ancestor. In the beginning of the journey, for me, it was beneficial to find an ancestor that's doing some of the similar work that you're doing or interested in, and seeing their story. Know that journey it's not an overnight plight. It is going to take some time. And so communicate with your network of folks and let them know what you're trying to accomplish, and allow them to hold you accountable. One of the things, when I walked into the operating room, I had so many friends that were just like, and I had a partner. My wife was, what are you doing this semester? What's going on? And I was very open and transparent about what it is I wanted to accomplish, so that whenever I started veering from that plan, they would hold me accountable. And as a community, that accountability is still at Givens. So anyone that's looking to move forward, lay down the pride, the ego, and say, I think I'm interested in this, and allow people to help guide that vision and hold you accountable. And then also just be open when you fail, when you succeed. Share those things with the community so that we can give you a pat on the back, or we can tell you, this is the resources that's available. And it's just critical that we know our history, that we're transparent with each other, and we show each other what our objectives are, and then we just hold each other accountable. And like Rosalind's novel and Dr. Givens, we're in it for the long haul. We are here. We're not going anywhere. And I mean, till I'm as gray as Kenneth Beard, I will be here. And that's what this is about.
And that's really important. It's so important, Stephen, and that you're going to be there as long, until you're as gray as Kenneth's beard, and maybe maybe still have some hair. But in any case, that's really a wonderful thing. And what you are doing and telling people is that we are reaching out to you. Reach out to us.
Yeah.
Reach out to us. And we need to have that kind of center here. And if people get the word that they can go to Givens, and they can see people like Kenneth and like Miriam and like Roderick and like yourself, and get that step up to the next level, then they're going to be okay. And Dr. Givens' vision is going to be realized in future generations. So it's really amazing how he created, as Miriam said, some place to play and have fun, and ended up creating a community that does all things, essentially, including provide healthcare, provide positive outlets for young men, provide sports. If you've seen the first part of the video, and you've seen the music and the entertainment that goes on at Givens, and you saw the swimming and those kinds of things, the swim lessons that go on at Givens, then you know that the park has a deep purpose. And I love that call to action, Stephen, another call to action tonight, that in the same way that Barton Springs Pool has its monuments, that there should be monuments marking the 3 wise Black women who did the swimming during the senior picnic day over at Barton Springs Park. And it's why those parks were opened ultimately to Black people. But I want to get back to Miriam, because she talked about healing. And we saw in the first part of the video all about the healing powers of the waters at Givens. But I have an idea that Miriam is talking about holistic healing, and I'd love for her to talk to us about how that healing works at Givens. Oh, Miriam, you're muted.
Thank you. Holistic healing. In these times right now, I believe that we as humans are doing a lot of internal thinking, a lot of grasping what is actually important. And what is actually important is for people to feel comfortable in spaces, for people to be healthy in spaces, safety. Givens is important because it provides that, or it should provide that. It should be a place that people can go to and feel safe doing what makes them happy. Today I went to a park and I went there to meditate and to just get out of the house, and I felt unsafe. Sometimes being at Givens Park, you can feel unsafe because there are an overpresence of officers, or there's an overpresence. It's in order to be healthy, safety is a huge part of that. And I feel like Givens Park is a health conduit, but it also could be so much more. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense, because what I hear you saying in some ways, and is that it's about building better communities, building safer communities, and the space at Givens, the spaces that provides for people to do that and to commune and fellowship. Of course, after COVID and before COVID, that Givens was part of building a better community and holding on to community.
And so, a better Black community. Right. I felt uncomfortable being Black in a park. When I go to Givens, I don't feel uncomfortable being Black. I feel at home. And so that part of health, the safety part of health, Givens provides.
Absolutely. You know, I wrote an article recently about how in my own neighborhood, I was writing, and I live in a predominantly white neighborhood, but there are people of color here. About a third of the neighborhood are people of color. And I'm riding in my own neighborhood, and I'm riding my bicycle. And so all of a sudden I come to a stop sign. I do everything I'm supposed to do that they tell you to do on a bicycle, because you're supposed to act like a car. So I come to the stop. I'm the first person in the intersection. I take my right-hand turn. I use my hand signals. And all of a sudden this cream-colored van comes veering toward me, rolls down his window and yells at me, "Get off the road, you N," the N-word, "or I will run your you-know-what over." And so when you talk about feeling safe, when I've been in Givens Park, in that space, I have felt safe, you know, because of the fact that I know these kinds of humiliating, dangerous things are not going to happen, because my sisters and brothers will not allow that kind of thing to happen. And I want to come to Kenneth, because you're all about community. We know that. We know that from your KZI show. We know that from many of the talks that you have given. You sit on all these different boards and commissions. I mean, you know, Kenneth is a very important person in Austin, you might say. But what will you tell people about what's important to benchmark about Givens?
You know, let me take a step back. You know, when I went over to start participating in the Givens Swim, and I'll tell you, initially, I was not going to participate in. My role was to put them in contact with other folks. But once I went back down on that path, it was no way that I could not participate in it. I mean, it was like, and so it was like coming home to some degree. And so what I would tell people about Givens in the history of it, it is a place of peace. And it's been a place of development, right? It's been a place of developing healthy relationships. It's been one of these hidden jewels in Austin that's been good. And the only bad thing about that hidden jewel is that, again, like I said before, we don't get a chance to tell our story. And so when someone can take down plaques that don't know the history, see, that means that it's something that they're missing. So what I would tell young people about Givens is that if you want to find your place, if you want to find your people, in spite of all the negative things that you may hear from some pockets in our community, Givens is a good place to do. It was a place that, I mean, I just get excited because I'm thinking about so many things. I mean, I get excited. You know, I fell in love with a lot of men down there. You know, when I said I fell in love with a lot of men who coached me, who guided us, you know, who made sure that we understood the value of relationships, who made sure that we understood the value that Dr. Givens was talking about, that they imparted those things on. So I would just tell folks, Givens is a wonderful place to be connected.
Thank you, Kenneth. And with that, I do want to ask each panel, what is their message to the white community? And I'm going to start with Stephen. What's your message regarding Givens, or just in general, because about the politics around Givens? What is your message to the white community?
Well, I mean, it's simple, you know. Like I said, being a fourth generation Austinite, you know, I grew up in an environment where I saw a lot of people that looked like me, and you know, being pro-black isn't being anti-white, and I want people to understand that Givens Park is just a place for just fellowshipping and congregation, and despite those negative stories that you might hear, they're just people trying to make the best out of what was handed to them by being segregated to that park. Also, so have patience, have compassion, and also educate yourself on the community before jumping in and assuming, you know, that you want folks to assimilate or do it their way. Respect their culture. It's hard to be in a community. I grew up on 9th Street, and so many times, you know, whether I'm at Givens or at HT or walking in my old neighborhoods, I have new neighbors looking at me like they're scared, or what am I doing here? And I'm feeling like you can at least say hello. Like, I mean, look up, be communal, and say hi to a neighbor or someone that has been there for so long. And it's so offensive when you know, you have newcomers come in and they won't even look at you and they act scared. Also, I've asked a lot of leaders, city leaders, please educate yourself. There's a great documentary, Austin PBS produced it, Austin Revealed. And it shows and speaks about the past offenses that this community had to endure. So before you pass judgment, or you, like Kenneth said, you become so progressive and you say, well, we just took advantage of a good opportunity. We bought you land and we're doing something with it. You wasn't doing anything. I had a guy tell me, you know, you may have lived here, but I have lived here. As to say, his investments or what he has brought to the community has more value. And there's a difference. This community values connection and community over monetary things. And that's just the spirit of our ancestors. So just keep those things in mind.
Roderick, what would you tell white people?
What I tell them is, don't believe everything you hear. You know, don't just go off what the news is saying. You know, like just come out and kind of, you can fellowship as well. You know what I'm saying? Just don't try to draw a picture from sitting back. You know, try to get involved. You know, you can get involved with it too. You know, you might can help something with the situation. You know, everybody can help everybody. So just don't go off what you hear, you know, find out for yourself. And that's just something, you know, I tell them.
Thanks, Roderick. You know, what I think is so important about what you and Stephen have said is that, you know, even though there has been an influx of white people to East Austin, there's still some segregation there. So you can live right next door to people. They can be your neighbors. Givens Park can be right there. And there's still segregation because nobody is saying hello to each other. They're not like fellowshipping, as you said. And so particularly as East Austin becomes more gentrified, it's kind of breaking down those old communal values that African Americans had as a community when they lived in the community as a people. So Miriam, what would you tell white people?
So first off, I would say we're human just like you, except for we were brought here to the United States of America on a boat. You might not be racist, but you've been taught in racist ways because of the oppressive systems that we live in. When you try to speak for a person of color, don't do it. Revise the way you think about, and when you judge, don't do it. And revise the way you think, like rethink and think again when you speak regarding or to a person of color. And also think about, like, is that chance, is that opportunity for you, or was it just given to you?
Yeah.
Because of the color of your skin. Was it given to you because of the color of your skin? Do you actually deserve that?
Is that
privilege? If you do, yes. Yeah. If not.
Yeah. You know, the privilege comes into that equation. And so, yeah, that is something that white people should think about. And Kenneth, what can white people do in terms of, yeah, I'm going to ask you that question, brother. That's right.
You know, I think I would like for them to be more true to themselves. Or, you know, I would like them to sit back and look at things and say, wow, how do these things work out? So I would like for them to develop a sense of purpose that's not based on who they are. Right? And I think Miriam said something that very powerful. You know, use your privilege to help move things, but you don't always. But your privilege you don't get the chance to be in the front of the line. You know, every once in a while, it's not bad for us to be able to tell our own story. And so I would just tell them to use their privilege, right, to give us space to tell our own story.
And with that message, I am going to, one more time, ask folks to donate to Rosalind's Novel, the nonprofit that was founded by Stephen Brown. And I'm going to give the last word now to Stephen Brown to close us out.
Well, I just would really like to thank everyone for joining this celebration of Givens Swims, of Givens Park. I really enjoyed the fellowshipping with everyone, hearing the history stories. I mean, just fascinating stuff. We got a lot of work to do. We got some calls to actions to do. We have, you know, purpose and we will fulfill that purpose, but it's going to take all of us. I want to thank our friends at Austin PBS for help producing this show. I want to thank the people at Forklift Danceworks. I really have to say that the Forklift Danceworks group is just, they have been a phenomenal partner with this. When Kenneth talks about using that privilege, I mean, they have just been great corporate citizens in Austin. And I think they're really an example of what corporate citizens should be doing. You know, in this face of Black Lives Matter, you know, they are doing it right. And so continue to support Forklift Dance, continue to support people that look like you. And I think it's important too for people that look like me. Keep digging. Our ancestors left us so many jewels, hidden gems. They're crying out, and they want to hear from you as well. There's so many stories. The Wilhelmina Delco, the Ada Andersons, the Bertha Sadler Meads, the Willie Mae Kirk. I mean, there's so many men, women who have done so much work, and they provide literally like gold for us, man. The gold is in the ground, and I just encourage all of the young people at the park, find that ancestor, pick up their torch, do the work, and I guarantee this community will be a model community. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Right on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks to all the panelists.
And thanks to the moderator too.
Yes.
It's nice to have such a smooth moderator. You know what I mean? So thank you so kindly for all you have done and all you do in this community. You've been a good soldier.
Absolutely.
And just based on your article, you have lived through some things. You have lived through some things in your role as a reporter. So thank you for never surrendering, my sister.
Amen.